Congressman, you are well acquainted with this president's efforts to dismantle the rule of law, these lawsuits against 4 different law firms. What does that tell you about where we are in that process of dismantling the system?
They think they can bulldoze the government and seize control over society by dismantling the lawyers for their opposition. That's in naked violation of the First Amendment. It's in brutal violation of the due process rights of people who appear in court. And I just cannot imagine even a Trump favorable court allowing this to go forward. I mean, that really spells the end of the rule of law. If the president can target lawyers simply because they've represented his political opponents and then ban them from federal buildings, ban federal officers from meeting with them, lock them out of federal contracts, that's just naked and unconstitutional First Amendment retaliation.
You have Judge Beryl Howell accusing the Trump administration of attacking the judiciary in her ruling on Perkins Coie. Here is how Pam Bondi responded just last night.
Many judges need to be removed, Judge Howell included, Judge Reyes, Judge Boasberg. These judges obviously cannot be impartial. They cannot be objective. They are district judges trying to control our entire country, and they're trying to obstruct Donald Trump's agenda.
Remove the attorneys, remove the judges, and then you have the Speaker of the House acting like her backup singer, saying much the same about federal judges. What role is Congress supposed to be playing in acting as a backstop to these efforts to undercut the judiciary?
Well, I mean, look how sick that is. Basically, anybody who has rendered any ruling they disapprove of, they think should be removed from the bench. Any lawyer who's ever represented a party adverse to them, they think should be cleared out of the way. I mean, that is in naked opposition to the rule of law. So, look, I'm the ranking Democrat in the House Judiciary Committee. The Judiciary Committee Democrats, the Democrats in the House are unified in standing up for the independence of the judiciary, the separation of powers, and the constitutional order as we've known it. I wonder if Attorney General Bondi could name one judge who she doesn't think should be removed, who's ruled against one of Trump's executive orders or one of the lawless actions undertaken by Elon Musk. And they can't say it. Basically, they believe if they disagree with someone or something, that person should be rendered illegal, a legal non-entity.
Their purview is very clear, right? I mean, I get the Congressman's point. You could ask them that question. I think we can anticipate the answer. Can you help me understand why these different firms are taking different tacks and how much of it? I know you referenced the possibility of this going to the appeals court, but how much of it do you think it has to do with the clientele that they represent?
Oh, 100%. And again, Trump's genius in this, or the genius of the White House on this, is that they understand what we see as these institutions that are bulwarks in the judicial and legal establishment, they see as businesses. Trump understands that if you take away, it's like a Jenga tower, if you take away certain accesses and elements of their business, they're incapable of functioning. He understands. This guy, say what you want about Trump, is he looks beyond the superficial, beyond the facade of these institutions, and looks to the foundations. And he figures out ways, and he's doing it at DOJ. We're covering it every day, memo by memo, undermining the foundations of the norms of these institutions.
Well, he sees this as a business, like which it is, right? And one of the things we have noticed about Donald Trump, when I look at what he's doing in terms of offense and defense. When he is on the defense, like he runs scared, he cries victim, right? But when he is playing offense, he is aggressive. He doesn't care what the facts are. He doesn't care about anything. He's just going to bulldoze his way to get whatever in desire that he wants, and that's what's happening with these law firms, all laying the predicate so that he can go after people like Jamie Raskin, people like Andrew Weissman, and others who are defenders of our democratic republic.
And the other thing I'd say is he did this to the test case of this was the Republican Party itself. What he's doing to the law firms is exactly what he did to the Republican Party in 2015 and 2016. At the very beginning, there was a lot of resistance and bravado against him, and eventually he wore them down, and he was able to exploit the divisions. I don't know the economic models of the law firm sufficiently enough to presume this, but I imagine that some of the firms that have the capacity to resist him perhaps aren't as exposed in the spaces that he's attacking. So I think he has an understanding of the vulnerabilities of his opposition that nobody who's currently a combatant has.
And so we circle back to the question, Congressman Raskin, that we constantly circle back to, which is which of these cases will end up before the Supreme Court? And if and when they end up before the Supreme Court, will the Supreme Court be ready to hold the line?
Well, I think so. An important signal came down last week when Chief Justice Roberts noted that the proper response to a district court decision that you disagree with is not to impeach the judge, much less malign the judge and contribute to this terrible climate of violence and threat and intimidation. The proper response to a district court decision you disagree with is to appeal the decision. And we've only had 15 judicial impeachments in all of American history, and it's always for something like taking bribes on the bench, corruption, stealing money from the court, habitual drunkenness, not even just 1 day or 2 days of drunkenness. But we've never had a judge who's been impeached for doctrinal differences with the court, much less for getting the legal doctrine right, which an overwhelming, if not unanimous number of these judges have done. I mean, their legal reasoning is just airtight. And that's why Donald Trump is so furious and outraged, and why, all the king's men are running around talking about impeachment, because they can't contest what these judges have actually ruled. So they're coming to our committee next week, and they're going to, have their big hearing on the rogue judges, because they're saying never before has a president seen so many of his executive orders struck down before. History's never seen a president engage in so much illegality before, especially in the first 100 days of his tenure. And so we're going to try to get at the substance of these cases while they go after the judges, including Judge Boasberg, who was first appointed to the bench by President Bush.
Congressman, what would be your counsel to these firms as they try to contend with these incoming lawsuits from the Trump administration?
Look, I think that General Block got it absolutely right. You've got to fight these people every step along the way. And they are talking about First Amendment viewpoint discrimination. They're talking about unconstitutional conditions. They're talking about severe burdens on people's freedom of association. They're talking about interference with the right to petition government for redress of grievances. That's the right way to fight these people. We are American citizens, and we've got every right that's contained in the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, and state law. And meantime, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are running an utterly lawless operation, and they've been struck down already more than 50 times with temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions. So I'm very hopeful that the Supreme Court is going to stand up for the rule of law, because Trump is acting like the Constitution is just an inconvenient piece of furniture that can be kicked out of the way on the road to his personal economic and political objectives. And that's not American constitutional democracy. That's a gangster state.
Amen.